Hey everybody, welcome to Talking About Success. I'm your host, Jack Canfield, America's #1 success coach, chairman of the Canfield Training Group, and co-author and author of a lot of best-selling books, including the Chicken Soup for the Soul series, and most recently, the Success Principles, how to get from where you are to where you want to be. And I have a wonderful show lined up for you today. I have a wonderful guest today, Emigdio Arias. He is a personal development and personal growth, and he's a specialist in everything that's going to help you get to where you want to go from where you are right now. So Emigdio, thank you for joining us today. I really appreciate you being here.
Yeah, I'm excited to be here, and thank you for having me, Jack.
Very good, very good. So let's start with a really basic question. Just tell us a little about who you are and what it is you do.
Absolutely. I'm a personal success coach, and I'm extremely passionate about helping people, get from where they are to where they truly want to be in life. I take a lot of pride in helping people become very, very specific and knowing exactly what it is that they want and what type of, and specifically how they want their life to look.
So now you didn't always do this. So how did you get into this work? Well, what inspired you to go from what you were doing before to what you're doing now?
Yeah, absolutely, Jack. So back in 2000, around 2009 and 2010, I created some undesired outcomes in my life. And I was looking for answers and for direction in so many different places. And finally, someone recommended that I watch The Secret. And so when I watched The Secret, it was almost instantaneous when I heard these group of words. I heard this phrase, and the phrase was that wherever your life currently is, it's a direct result from the way that you've been thinking. And unconsciously, it just clicked. It clicked. And that's when I realized I was able to connect the dots where my life currently was, of how negatively I was thinking, what I believed in, the things that I was saying to myself, my self-talk, and I was able to connect the dots of how all of that created my life. And so I took a really deep dive into personal development, and everything that I heard and learned, I incorporated it into my own life, and was able to create the life that I truly desired and able to create the things that I wanted.
Tell me a little bit about that. So here you are, you've created some results that you didn't like. You realized it was your thinking that was creating that. What was the next step? How did you go from there to the next step? Did you start thinking differently? You start taking courses? What did you do?
Yeah, great question, Jack. And so when there was a shift when I heard that phrase. There was a shift that happened where I started to take responsibility, right? The success principle, taking 100% responsibility for your life, it happened right there at that moment. I realized that I was responsible for everything that was happening. And so when that shift happened, I was no longer blaming anyone or pointing the finger at anyone for what was, what manifested in my own life. And so what ended up happening was, right away, I started reading every single book that I can get my hands on. And so I started going back further. I started trying to model, believe it or not, I was paying attention to a lot of things you were saying. So I was trying to model you. And so I started hearing you mention like W. Clement Stone. And so I said, okay, who's this W. Clement Stone guy? I want to see what he wrote, Success Through a Positive Mental Attitude. And so I started diving into that, diving into things that Earl Nightingale wrote. Diving into Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich or Outwitting the Devil or something like that, right? And so all of these started to really, as I was emptying out my cup, I was filling it back up with all of these, with all of these very knowledgeable authors and all of their content. And once it got up here, I started to incorporate all of that into my life in order to create the results that I wanted.
And what did you start seeing differently? I'm curious. What kind of results did you start seeing as a result of that?
Yeah, so I can give you a really clear example of one.
Sure.
So one time, I actually called the Canfield coaching department, and whoever the guy was, and I don't know if you can date it back to 2011, figure out who took my call. The only reason why I didn't sign up for the program is just I didn't have the money at the time when I called. However, the guy who took my call on the other end had me visualize and guided me through a process to help me see exactly what I wanted to become and what I wanted my life to look like. And what ended up happening was that exercise was so powerful that I knew something was going on at that very moment, even though I wasn't able to sign up for the program at the time. And so I took specific instruction from Earl Nightingale on something that he wrote, and I wrote a goal to make $250,000 a year after taxes on an index card. And I put the card away when I was moving out of an apartment that I was living at. And so when it was time to move, when I bought my first house, I was unpacking things and I found the card. And that year I made well over $300,000. That was back in 2017. All because I wrote it down on that goal. I was able to get more specific, and I was following that instruction and everything that I wanted. So what I did, Jack, I just started aiming much higher after that.
Right. If this works, I'm going to put a bigger number down.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. And so and everything was working, and everything is continuing to work. So what I'm doing is fine tuning everything that I've read, all the different programs that I've taken, all the different seminars, incorporating all of this success principles into my life, and just trying to fine tune them so that I'm delivering continuous and constant results in my own life.
You know, it's interesting. There's research that simply writing down a goal, and you can put it in a drawer like you did, that just the act of writing it down activates something. And I can tell you probably 20 stories of people like you who said, and I was opening the drawer a year later and everything on my list I'd achieved.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's really fascinating. I love that. I'm curious, just as you've been working with people, can you tell me about some of the people you've been working with and how you've seen their lives change?
Yes, absolutely. And so I everything that I did to create the life that create the life that I want, and that I'm still doing to continue to create an even better life than what it is now. Right. One of the most important thing, like when somebody is working with me, when I'm coaching someone, the number one thing that I help them achieve is to take 100% responsibility for their life. And the reason why I do that is because that success principle all by itself is the most important success principle to me. And the reason for that is because when I was able to make that shift back in 2011 to recognize that I was creating everything, that was when I achieved personal power. That's when I realized that, hey, wait a second, if I'm creating it, then I can also take action, and I can also create the life that I truly want. I can create my desired outcomes. Yeah. And so one of the things that I do when I'm working with people is they have to be able to make that shift with me. They have to be able to take 100% responsibility for their life and connect the dots unconsciously that why that's happening, or why is all of this happening. Once they're able to make that shift, then I help them become very, very specific about how they want their life to look. What is it that they want to become? What is it that they want to achieve? What is it that they want to obtain? What is it that they want to create and manifest in their life? And when I help them to become very, very specific about that, everything else is downhill from there. And I go into a few other modalities, so to speak. It's extremely important to help them eliminate and release negative emotions that are being stored unconsciously, especially like anger, sadness, fear, hurt, and guilt. And then once we eliminate the negative emotions, and I start taking a very deep dive to see what type of limiting beliefs have been holding them back, for their entire life, that's still holding them back, so we can clean that up as well.
It's funny because I was just going to ask you about that. No, really, seriously, because I think that limiting beliefs and unexpressed emotions and fear are the three things that really block people, and a lot of those are unconscious.
Absolutely.
And I'm wondering, in your practice as you work with people, what limiting beliefs do you see come up most often, if there's a pattern at all?
Absolutely. I definitely see a pattern, Jack. And so I'm gonna program my unconscious mind that I'm not saying this to myself, but just for just for this exercise, and Right. So one of a few of them is I'm not worthy, I'm not good enough, I'm not smart enough, I'm not attractive enough. I grew up here, so there's no way that I could ever achieve this. All of my family, worked at this job, and that's what I'm supposed to do. All my family live in this neighborhood. How could I ever move out or move to Santa Barbara or to Palos Verdes or anything like that? Right. All of those limiting beliefs are things that I hear most repetitively on an ongoing basis. It's I can't do this, or I don't have the resources. And so those are the main limiting beliefs. Some others have surfaced too, right, over time.
Sure.
However, these are the most common ones that I deal with. So I've become very, very good at going in and attacking those. So.
Yeah. I think what I hear over and over, and you mentioned it, is like, I'm not blank enough, and you can fill in the blank. Smart enough, attractive enough, well-connected enough, rich enough, educated enough, whatever it might be.
Absolutely. Same here, Jack.
Yeah. So what else do you find that's important that people confront and deal with in their life in order to be more successful?
Forgiveness.
Forgiveness.
Absolutely forgiveness, and I'll explain why. So when I'm coaching someone, or when I'm working with someone, or even if I'm just giving a talk, the second that I bring up forgiveness, it just throws a lot of people off in the audience, or even people that are sitting across from me. I think consciously they think I'm going to start talking about something religious or something from that point of view. However, the reason why forgiveness is so important in personal development, personal transformation, and personal growth is because when we have this, when we have a lack of forgiveness, it's because there's a memory that's going on. An incident happened, an event happened, or a circumstance took place, or there's a person, and there's a memory attached to it. And with that memory, there's a negative emotion hidden beneath it all, okay? And so when we're concentrating, once we become specific about knowing exactly what we want and what we want to create, it's so important to only focus on what your desired outcome is in order to be able to create and manifest that. How can you focus on your desired outcome if you're still worrying about this person who wronged you in some type of way, or this event that happened, or this circumstance that took place, and you have these negative emotions and your thoughts are going in every direction because you're still so bothered, or you're really upset or hurt about whatever happened? What that does is it prevents you from focusing on your desired outcome. And so how can you create what you want? In The Secret, one of the magical gems or magical nuggets that I keep holding on, energy flows where attention goes. Mm-hmm. So if your attention is on this person that wronged you, so to speak, you're going to create more of that in your life. Now, once you forgive and able to process that and go back to focusing on your desired outcome, that's where your attention is, that's where your energy is, and that's what you're going to create. That's why forgiveness is so important. Right.
I've often heard you don't want to live in the past. You want to live in the present. You want to plan the future and then live in the present to make it happen.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, so many people are caught in the past. I remember doing a workshop with somebody, and they brought up that their sister had gotten more money in the inheritance that their father left, and she was really adamant about it, really upset. And I said, well, how long? When did that happen? She said, 15 years ago. And I said, and you're still focusing on it,
Absolutely.
Wasn't right. It's like,
yes.
You're exactly right. The energy's not available to go into the future to create what you want.
That's correct. Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Very good. Very good. So you talk about 100% responsibility. I believe it's foundational as well, but I also think it's one of the more difficult things for people to really acknowledge, take hold of, and apply in their life. Do you find that true?
Yes, I do. Absolutely. Because, when I'm trying to teach someone that to take 100% responsibility for their life, that wherever their life currently is, it's a direct result of what they believe in, mm-hmm. How they think, how they talk to themselves, and the things that they say and the things that they do. And so you have to really, really dig deep below the surface and help them make that connection where they finally make that, where they finally come to that realization, like, oh, okay, I get it now. I get how I created all of this. And so, for example, Jack, I had this client that I recently worked with. It took me some time to be able to get her to take 100% responsibility for her life. And once we did that, we were very successful in helping her become very, very specific about what she wanted and the type of life that she wanted to create, okay? However, we weren't having the results that she wanted or that I wanted. And the reason for that is because she had a very difficult time processing the negative emotions and releasing the negative emotions from her body, because it's almost as if she created this secondary gain, because she felt that if she forgave this person or forgave this group of people, that it was going to make her weak. and that people would disrespect her in the future if she forgave. So there was a secondary gain there, that she was going to maintain her respect and maintain her integrity if she continued to hold this grudge or continued to hold this negative emotion towards these group of people. However, once we were able to overcome that, and she was able to release that negative emotion unconsciously, now, less than 30 days later, so many different things that she got specific about, what she wanted, are starting to manifest in her life right now.
That's so great. I love it. I love it. Yeah, it's hard for people to do that sometimes, because I think it makes them wrong. If they forgive it, they're condoning the behavior of the people. That makes me weak. I really hear you on that one. I've run up against that myself, not in my own life so much, but with clients, as you say. Yeah. Absolutely. Well, I really love the work you're doing. I think it's very important, and I just love the fact that the secret changed your life, and that you've now learned all these techniques and technologies to help people live what the secret was about. Because it's easy to talk about the law of attraction, it's another thing to really live it, and you're doing that, and you're helping other people do that as well. So good for you. So if people want to get a hold of you, want to find out more about your work, they want to work with you, consult, hire you as a speaker, where do they go? What do they do?
Yeah, they can visit, I have 2 websites. They can visit me at triumphantmindset.com.
I like that, Triumphant Mindset.
Yes, thanks, Jack. And they can visit me at at emigdioarias.com as well.
Emigdioarias.com.
Yes.
Okay, very good.
Yeah, and you know what, Jack? The most important thing, anytime someone reads like a personal development or self-improvement book, or attend a coaching seminar or any type of seminar to help someone personally grow, one thing that I've been able to connect out of all of those different things is that the most important thing to do is to take action in the end. It's so easy to get motivated. It's so easy to learn something new. It's so easy to get inspired. However, if you go back home and just stay in your comfort zone and keep repeating the same habits and behaviors, then you're not going to produce the results that you want. So, when it comes to the success principles and implementing these success principles in our life, it's extremely important to take action.
Very good. And so you watching this, one action you can take, because one of my favorite mentors once said, the only thing that changes your life ever are the decisions you make and the actions you take. So one of the actions you can take after this today is to get in touch with Emigdio. You got his website, you know where to go. I encourage you to do that. You need to be working with someone that can help you get from where you are to where you want to be. And this man can actually help you do that. So thank you for joining me today. And thank you at home for joining us today. We appreciate that. And just wish you all the best. Make sure you take some action and take your life to the next level and go from where you are to where you want to be. And we'll see you next week on Talking About Success. Thank you for watching this episode of Talking About Success. Remember, your success is a journey. So for more information and free resources to help you, be sure to visit jackcanfield.com/learn more.